everybody. Quick video here. I just want to go over this article with everybody. Homeschooling versus public school, from a mom who has taught both. Are you feeling unmotivated and uninspired? Has homeschooling become a daily grind rather than an ongoing inspiration? Have you lost sight of why all this effort to homeschool is better than the alternative? After all, your friends have over 6 hours to themselves every day because they send their kids to public school. So they get about 6 to 8 hours a day depending on where you live. While you are nagging kids to do their schoolwork, refereeing sibling conflicts, preparing food and cleaning up messes all day long. And that's so very true. Homeschooling moms, they do not get a break from the sibling rivalry that happens. It happens all day, and the messes happen all day long. You don't get that 6 hours to clean up when the kids are off to school. You've got to clean up messes while everybody's in the house. So it's a constant battle to keep your house clean when you homeschool. And generally feeling like you are daily sacrificing your wants for everyone else's needs. Yeah. It can be tough to remember the big picture. I am here today to renew your motivation by reminding you of why you are keeping your kids home rather than sending them off to the local school. As a former public school teacher, I have inside info about how the school system really works. And as a veteran homeschool mom who has graduated 4 kids who stayed home K to 12, there's one left, I am well aware of the struggles you are facing every day. Let's compare the two, shall we? Homeschooling versus public school, side by side. Accountability. As a homeschool mom, you feel like the bad guy because you have to nag your kids to do work without becoming distracted, to finish within a reasonable amount of time, to actually learn rather than just checking the box, and to move on to the next thing without wandering off. Sometimes it seems like you've spent the entire day just pushing your kids along. The public school teacher would do all of that for you, right? Nope. At the school, your child is one of many. The teacher does not have the time nor the mental resources to keep track of each one with that much level of detail. While your kid is in their classroom, the teacher may try to have some input about work habits, but as soon as one class departs from their sight, they are focused on the next group of crazy kids. Teachers have to wipe the slate between classes or they will go crazy, and they have no desire to take the emotional baggage home with them. They do have lives and families of their own after all, so they ignore it until class the next day. Or in the case of elementary school, although classes do change between subjects there now more than they used to, the teacher is only able to do so much. She doesn't have 3 to 5 kids to deal with all day. She has 20 to 25. You tell me how she will do a better job getting your child to get stuff done than you can. Yes, there is outside accountability. Translated, that means due dates and grades are a thing, but it will still be you, the mom, who is doing the nagging, keeping track of assignments and when they are due, pushing your kids to get their homework done, etc. And in some ways it's harder because you didn't design the assignments, nor do you know how they were taught. Trying to figure out what was in the teacher's head can be a challenging task. So here right now it's talking about how the teacher assigns the homework, the teacher assigns the test date, they will assign an assignment for your kid to do, a project, and who works on those projects, who studies with those kids, who does homework with them kids. It isn't the teacher that does it, it's the parents. So the parents are doing a lot of the teaching already. Only right now you're sending your kid off to public school where they get assigned projects to do, they get assigned work to be done at home, they get given a test day where they got to study at home. With public school, they go to school for 6 to 8 hours a day, and then they still have to come home and do work at home. It doesn't stop at the end of the school day. So a parent is sitting with their kids at the end of the day doing schoolwork anyway, but they don't know what the teacher taught. They don't know anything that the teacher went over with that kid. So they've got to figure it out, and they've got to figure out what the teacher expects, and then they've got to help their kid get that done. With homeschooling, you know what's taught, you know what you were expecting from the assignment. So you're giving the assignment and you're helping your kid with that assignment. And with homeschooling, you don't have to do homework. You don't have, especially at elementary school. They're so young and they're so full of energy. You spend a few hours during the day doing school, and then you let them play the rest of the day. Public school makes little children, sit down for 6 to 8 hours a day, and then they make them do homework that night. Where did we leave off here? So while it is difficult being the force behind your kid getting anything done all day, every day, it's easier and more effective than doing it as a reaction to someone else's workload and expectations. Educational gaps. You worry because it's taking forever to complete the curriculum you're using. You feel guilty for not getting through it all. Will your kid learn everything they are supposed to? Are they experiencing gaps in their education? At the public school, they are more on top of things like this, right? Nope. I remember taking 6 weeks off the regular curriculum every year to prepare for the standardized test the kids would be taking. Because if they scored well on the test, the school would get more funding. So forget about 7th grade math. Let's just focus on multiple choice logic questions and learning how to read graphs for 6 weeks. Public school have so many things that steal their productive classroom time. School assemblies, pep rallies, holiday celebrations, field trips, fire drills, that rowdy kid who pushes the teacher's buttons every day, movie days, substitute teacher days, and the list goes on. I certainly never finished the curriculum in a given year, and I don't know of a single teacher who did. Gaps in their education? You bet. So right here, this public school teacher is saying that she didn't get all the curriculum done in a year. School classes were always being interrupted by things, assemblies, field trips, holiday celebrations, fire drills, kids that act up in class. She spent 6 weeks just focusing on multiple choice logic questions. So she took that 6 weeks off from her curriculum to get that done, because if her class tested better, then more funding would end up going towards that school. So that's where her focus was, the funding and not the kids. Let's keep going. Specialized programs. Did we skip something here? You're probably getting through more of the curriculum at home than they are at the public school, truly. So that comes from a public school teacher. Homeschool parents are getting through more of the curriculum in a given year than a public school teacher would. Now, I want to ask you a question, all you that have been to public school. Do you remember classes? Do you remember being given textbooks every year at the beginning of the year? I remember my math teacher pick and choosing pages throughout the textbook throughout the year. No way did I go through that whole textbook and do every single page through in that one year. Nope, didn't happen. But grade 10 math, I got given a grade 10 math textbook, and we did a few pages scattered throughout the book. We didn't do the whole one from front to back. Nope. And it was like that for every subject. Specialized programs. One of your kids struggles with learning in a big way, and or one of your kids learns so fast it's scary. It feels like you don't have enough knowledge to really help them. The local school has resources and programs for kids like this, with teachers who specialize in these areas. Surely your kid will get a better education there, right? Listen, y'all. Even those specialized teachers don't know your child like you do, and they still have classroom times tables to keep and many students to deal with. Even in a smaller classroom situation, if that small class is filled with students who have special needs in either direction, that teacher will still not be able to keep up with it all. More on this in a bit. But for now, please remember that while you may have so much knowledge as that teacher, you can still provide a complete individualized education for your child. You can structure their day for how they work best. You can adapt to a bad day or a newfound interest. And guess what? The internet is a thing. You can research your child's individual issues and find ways to meet them that are best for the child and your family. The resources out there are numerous these days, including iHomeschool Network bloggers who can come alongside you with encouragement and information. The public school, even with all its resources, are still groupified your very will still groupify your very individual child. Just saying. Personal time. You feel like you are stuck home every day doing school rather than being able to go out and do things. If you if you just had some time to yourself, you could be so productive. Putting the kids in school will give you freedom. You can have some peace and relaxation. Not so. Unless you put your kids on the bus, which can be a sketchy proposition these days, you will have to get them up before dawn every morning, rush around to get ready, very likely nagging them to keep moving the whole time and driving them to school. Then you get to do all in reverse later in the day. This definitely cuts into your me time. Hello? But wait, today is a half day, so you have just barely dropped them off before you need to return around and go back. Oh, and Johnny has sports practice after school, so you pick up his siblings at the regular time, and then you have to return to get him a couple hours later. Tonight is the choir concert, and tomorrow is the day of volunteering in class. And yikes, you forgot about the parent-teacher meeting. Susie is supposed to be bringing cookies to celebrate some miscellaneous holiday, and Betsy left her essay on the printer, so you have to take it to her before third period. Freedom? No. Instead, you are tied to a schedule that is not of your own making. You are the servant of someone else's plans and your child and your family. This means that your teen cannot sleep in and get the extra rest they so desperately need during these years of crazy physical and emotional growth. Your 7-year-old takes forever to get over the stupid cold they caught from the kid at the desk because they can't take a nap when they need one. And you are actually more stressed from all the running around. If you value your time, then homeschooling is actually less stressful because you indeed have more choice about how that time is spent. When you're a homeschool parent, you pick your own schedule. Maybe you want to do classes in the morning. Maybe you want to do them in the afternoon. It's all up to you. You can work around your schedule, and when you need to do errands, you can work around those. When you want to take a field trip, you can work around that. You don't need, with sending your kids to public school, you are working around the school schedule and not your own because you have to keep the times they set. Moms versus professional. You feel like you're always uptight and overwhelmed. You don't like that your kids are exposed to that all day. Certainly, a professional teacher will provide a calmer, more emotionally safe atmosphere. Here's a truth bomb. Teachers, in general, are a stressed out lot. They are usually not given the resources and help they need to teach efficiently and happily. Instead, they are often under the gun of administrative bureaucracy. Criticism from parents can be a frequent thing, not to mention the handful of highly disrespectful students who seem to take the most time and energy and leave less for the rest. Many teachers are not knights in shining armor, but ordinary, flawed people who don't necessarily even enjoy being there. Conversations around the teacher's lunch table can be rife with complaints about so many things. Though a teacher may have started out with high ideas and the desire to help little minds grow, their mindset often degenerates to the goal of just getting through the day and leaving it all behind when they go home. Teachers yell too. Did you know that? And they get impatient. And sometimes they wish they could just go hide. And don't forget all the other stress your kid would be subject to at the public school that is absent at home. Peer pressure, the bullying in second period, keeping up with Johnny's clothes or toys or electronics choices, not understanding fractions but the class has moved on, conversations about all the stuff you'd rather tell them yourself. When thinking about homeschooling versus public school, we can tend to focus on our day to day homeschooling difficulties, yet use rose colored glasses to imagine the public school lifestyle. Let's not. The fact is that each choice has its pros and cons. But with homeschooling, you can know that your kids are in the hands of people who know them best and love them most, their parents. This can make some of the difficulties feel more endurable, and it can also remind us that the supposed adventures of the public school may not really be that great. If you still feel like quitting, and we've all been there, sometimes many times, IHN has a wonderful book that will encourage you to stay the course. And this just keeps going on about that book. So there you go. This is a perspective from a public school teacher who taught her kids at home. She knew the public school system so well that she decided to homeschool. Now, Anne has been homeschooling for 18 plus years and has graduated 4 children. She believes that every mom can competently and contently provide the complete high school education for her teens' needs. So, this article tells you that public school isn't necessarily better. For everybody out there that believes that a child needs to go to public school to become well rounded and be able to function in society, that's wrong. And that's something that's being repeated over and over and over again with nobody thinking for themselves and taking a moment and stepping back and saying, wait, what? Why do I believe that? You believe that because it's being repeated to you over and over again. It's being pumped into your brain that that's the case, that your child needs to go to public school. I got a comment recently about how public homeschooling causes social misfits. Now, this person believes that only homeschoolers can be misfits. and homeschoolers can't fit in to society properly. Well, that's a fallacy. That's completely inaccurate. Public school is full of misfits, full of people, full of students, children that don't fit society's outlook of what you should act like. There are children in public school who don't fit in with everybody else, and that's a normal thing. Sometimes you just don't want to fit in with society. Maybe it's a good thing when you don't fit in. It means you're an individual. It means you think for yourself. Homeschoolers are very smart. They're very smart people. Universities will seek out homeschoolers because their way of thinking is different. Their way of thinking is completely different than a public school student, because public school students are taught to think a certain way. Homeschooling, it's more free. The students will be more free in the way they think about things, the way they handle things, the way they take on projects. There have been so many homeschoolers that have gone to the top. There have been homeschoolers that have become presidents, physicists, actors, writers. There are so many homeschoolers that have been very successful in life. So let's change the way we look at homeschoolers. Let's stop believing these lies that we're taught and start educating people of the truth of what homeschooling is all about. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and leave a comment down below.